Hi, Matt with eTrailer, and today we're talking about Yakima Roof Rack on top of our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now this will be a great option for you if you're running out of space in the back of your vehicle, whether you have a lot of people back here already or you have any items that are longer that just can't fit back here. Anything like skis or a kayak. So let's check it out. The kit we have today is going to be a fixed mounting point kit. So what that means is since we have flush rails, the way this is going to attach is we're going to have two bolts that go into the fit kit itself and bolt into your roof. And you won't be able to really play around with your crossbar spread with some other roof rack options. Our kit today is going to be comprised of three parts. Up top we're going to have our crossbar. Beneath that we're going to have the tower, and that's going to attach to our fit kit. Now let's talk about the crossbar. So the crossbar is going to be 50 inches long, and these are going to be our Aero crossbars. So what that means is we're going to have this Aero shape to them, and this shape is going to help it be more aerodynamic to help reduce that wind noise. Another thing that's going to help reduce wind noise is this built-in weather strip at the very top. So what that's protecting is your T-channel. Your T-channel is going to be a point where you can put on your T-channel accessories, anything that's not going to be a clamp-on accessory. Because maybe if you ever run into the case where you have a clamp-on accessory that takes up a lot of space underneath and you just can't fit on top of your roof, that's going to be another option for you. That weather strip's also going to keep any debris from getting in here too. And we're also going to have another channel on the bottom. Yours will come with a weather strip for that. We have ours removed today though. Since this is in our shop and we do take this on and off a whole lot, that's part of the reason why we have this off full time. And then we're going to have the tower that attaches to it. The tower is going to have this plastic circle core on the end of it. And what that core does is just a placement holder for if you ever want to get a metal lock core right there. And that metal lock core can be key-to-like to any of your other Yakima gear. What I do like about these towers are they have the ability to open up, and once you open them up, they detach from the fit kit. So this makes this a system that's really easy to take on and off. And when you place it back down, it'll click into place, and we can move over to the fit kit itself. The fit kit itself is what attaches your roof rack to your vehicle. We're also going to have this rubber coating on the outside so it doesn't scratch anything up. Something that sets this option apart from the other type of roof racks you can get is that we're going to have some overhang, and we're going to have a decent amount of it too. So what that overhang is going to be great for if you have any items that are harder to grab or take on and off of your roof, or some items that can only be fitted on the very ends of your roof rack. Anything like a kayak carrier that needs that extra space at the very end. Or skis too, because if you're trying to take skis and on and off, having to reach all the way over here can be kind of difficult. But then on the counter side of that, if you're really not carrying anything that is super large or long, that doesn't need to fit on the very edge of your crossbars, then you might find a better option being a flush mounted system, which just ends at the tower itself. We can get a few measurements to see how this fits up here. So now earlier I was talking about, in some cases, you might have some clamp-on accessories that are going to be kind of large and you might not be able to fit under here. But in our case today, we have a lot of room over here. It's going to be 4.5 inches. The only cases that I would advise you just be more cautious of if your vehicle has a sunroof on top of here and it does lift up some and you do have that clamp-on accessory on here, you may make contact. It's just something to kind of watch out for. But in most cases, you should be fine with any clamp-on accessories. And as for the overall height, that's going to be a little bit higher since this is a pretty tall system. That's going to be about 5.5 inches. So what I'd recommend doing is just taking the total height of your vehicle, plus your crossbars, and if you have any gear on top of that, include that so you know what areas you can make it under. Since I was also talking about this being a fixed mounting system, we're only going to have one crossbar spread. So if I go from the front of our front crossbar. And the front of our rear crossbar, that's only going to be 23.5 inches, which isn't a whole lot of space to play around with. It's something to definitely think about when you're putting your gear up here. If you're putting on any regular size boxes or baskets, it should be fine. I would definitely watch out when you do have a kayak up here, because that can affect the way this fits. Overall, if you're looking for a really solid roof rack, it's going to be a great option for you, especially since this is also really easy to take on and off. Whether you find yourself going on a lot of trips and you don't always want this being on top of your roof, you have the ability to take it on and off. And this overhang also going to allow you to use any items that are going to stick out on the side, anything like ski carriers. But if you really don't like the look of this overhang, or you don't really use a lot of ski carriers, or those longer items are a little bit more difficult to take on and off, you just really carry roof boxes or baskets, then I'd recommend more of a flush mounted system, and something like the Yakima FX bars are going to be a great option for you. Now you're going to have a little bit less room to play around with, but if you're just carrying around a box or a basket, then it'll serve its purpose. But if you do find yourself carrying more items up here and you need a little bit more real estate up top, then this is also going to help serve that purpose too. If you're curious about how we got this on, just stay tuned and we'll walk you through the process. To start off the installation, we're going to lay everything out. So up front, we're going to have our crossbar, and next to the crossbar, we're going to have the towers and the adapters that come with the towers too. In the center, we're going to have our fit kit. That's going to consist of the kit itself and this rubber adapter and the hardware that fits your fit kit onto your roof. Next to that, we're going to have some tools. This is going to be one that comes with your kit, and this is going to be just an Allen key with this torque device on the back of it, and that torque device is just going to let you know when things are tightened all the way down. Next to that, we're going to have some recommended tools, so I recommend either grabbing a trim tool. If you don't have one, you can find one on our website, or for most of this, you can use a flat head screwdriver. Lastly, recommend grabbing a tape measure, because measuring things out are going to help keep things even. We're going to start off with the fit kit. What we're going to do is grab your kit and that rubber adapter. You notice there are 4 prongs on here. We're going to line up those prongs with the 4 holes underneath. So it'll just fit on just like this. And this can be a little bit tricky sometimes, getting everything to line up properly. Because what can happen a lot of times is that prong on the outside can bend in and won't go in all the way. If you are having that issue, it doesn't really look like I'm having that issue right now. But if you are having that issue, you notice it's hollow on the inside. So what you can do is grab some tool that's pretty narrow that you can fit into that hole and apply pressure down. That'll help it seat in all the way. Once you've done that, you can repeat that process for the other kits. We'll come over to the top of our roof now so we can place our fit kits up here. And what we're going to be doing is grabbing this trim tool and taking off these fasteners. You'll find the fasteners on the inside of your flush rails. And we're going to take that tool, get underneath it, and pull upwards. That's what it's going to look like when it's out. You just repeat that for the other one too. And when you do take these out, I recommend storing them somewhere where you have them all together so you don't lose them. We start putting the fit kit in place, so we need to line it up with these 2 holes. You'll notice we have 3 holes to choose from though, and the ones I'm going to choose are this one on the bottom, that's a little bit lower, and this larger one that's a little bit longer. I'm going to start with this singular hole that's smaller, lining up my bolt with that opening, and just hand tightening it to begin with. We'll just tighten that down just a bit, making sure it's grabbing onto there. Once it's grabbed on, we're going to grab the second bolt, run it through, until it's lined up with that hole behind it. And hand tighten this one too. A tool that I forgot to mention earlier is going to be the security Allen key. That's also going to come with your kit. And you're going to use it to tighten down your fit kit the rest of the way. You just want to get this till it's pretty tight on there, but you feel a good amount of resistance when it's all the way on. With both of your fit kits on top of your roof, we can start going over to our towers. So there's a few things to think about. First, you're going to have this bolt that's right here in this opening, and that's where your adapter is going to sit, right on top of there. To tighten that down, you're actually going to have to flip this over, and it's going to reveal an opening right here. You can see where that bolt is on the other side. There's also a plate right next to that, so if you can't see that bolt, you're going to have to loosen up that plate. And the way you do that is you're going to flip this right back over. We're going to open up this door on the back of it, and that's going to reveal this other bolt on the inside. If you just loosen that up, it's going to open that door up on the bottom. With all that in place, what I like to do is put this plastic adapter in there first. You might have to put it in at an angle, and then press down until it clicks into place. And getting this bolt lined up can be a little bit tricky at first. So what I do is just hold it right here, flip it up, and with my included tool, try to maneuver that bolt so it lines up with our adapter. We're just going to tighten this up slightly, not enough, but it's going to be falling off or too tight. Just enough where it's going to grab on, and there's still a gap in between the plastic adapter and the metal block. With both of our towers prepped, we're going to flip over our crossbar, pull off this end cap. You might have to pull up on this tab some, so it comes off a little bit easier. Put that aside, and we're going to grab our towers. You can actually put both of them on from the same way. If you do that, just make sure they're in opposite directions. So I'm going to put the first one on with that back door towards my right, and push it all the way to the other side. We're going to grab the second tower, make sure it's in the opposite direction with the door facing the left. And with it in place, just make sure we grab our end cap and place it back on. I'm going to come back to those towers and just tighten this bolt a little bit more. And what I'm looking for here is just enough for it to grab on to your crossbar, but not enough so it won't be able to move. Because once it's on top of your roof, you want to make those adjustments. I'm going to loosen this up just a tad bit more, and that feels a lot easier now. After that, you do that on the other side too, but we also want to make sure that this access door is open, because what that does is retracts those tabs. And we don't want those tabs in the way because we want this to fit on top of our fit kit. You'll notice we already have one up here, and that's going to be the rear crossbar. Well, it's going to be the same process for each one of them. So what we want to do is make sure this is in the right orientation. So we want to make sure that this fatter side or thicker side is facing forward and the thinner side is facing behind us. Once you've done that, you can grab a friend. You can also do this by yourself. It'll just be a little bit more tricky. You have to just lift up, line up your crossbar with your fit kit. I'm just going to slide this into this channel till it rests there. And if you notice on the other side, it's a little bit too far out. So what we're going to have to do is make some adjustments. What I like to do though, before I do that, is close this door so this stays in place. And this is going to make this process a lot easier. I'm going to come on the other side, lift up, push this tower in. That's part of the reason why we didn't tighten this up all the way. Until that lines up and sits into place. I'm going to close this door like I did on the other side. And now is a good time to take some measurements of our overhang to make sure both sides are even. I've already measured what the distance on the passenger side is, so I'm going to check the driver's side now, and it's a little bit further on this side. So it's a lot easier to push this rather than pull it. So what I like to do is just grab onto a tower and just apply a little bit of pressure. This doesn't have to go over too far. Afterwards, when you've made your adjustment, I'm just going to measure this out again and make sure everything's even. When both sides are even, we're going to open up that access door on both sides. Carefully flip this around so it doesn't change our measurement up at all. And then we're going to tighten those bolts on the bottom that tighten our towers to the crossbar. You know it's tight all the way when you hear that click. Just make sure you do that on both sides. We also want to come to the back of this, open up that door, and that bolt that I pointed out earlier that puts that plate over your other bolt, we should tighten this down. That's just going to offer you some more security so no one comes by with an Allen key and tries to take off your roof rack. So once that's all the way tightened down, you can repeat that on the other side. And just make sure you close this door back up. The last step is just giving it a good shake test, making sure it feels pretty solid and it's not really moving. And if it feels pretty good, you can load it up with whatever gear you have and hit the road. But that was just a look at the Yakima Roof Rack on top of our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Thanks for watching.